The high-profile trial for the Massachusetts mom accused of murdering her 3 young children continued today. Lindsay Clancy is accused of strangling her children in their home. Her defense says she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, while prosecutors say the act was intentional. The trial making national headlines with some women across the country supporting Clancy. Today, a group rallying outside of the courthouse. Clancy faces life in prison if she is convicted. So let's take a legal deep dive into this case. Criminal defense attorney Hector Diaz is back. We know that prosecutors have rested their case. So how do you think they did? Did they meet their burden?
Well, we don't know yet, but they took a huge L in terms of this. This defense attorney, he's doing it by himself, is how it looks in trial, and he is bringing out the mental illness. There is that it didn't exist after she committed the murders. That there was testimony in the state's case in chief that she was suffering pretty severe mental illness, right? Yeah. Even through the testimony of some of these state's experts and psychiatrists and treating professionals, that she had very dark thoughts about harming herself.
Right.
And this came out also through the husband. So I think if we had to look at it right now, if I'm the prosecutor, I'm looking at it going, we're going to have to score some points on on now the defense's case in chief.
Right. So speaking of the husband, there's been a lot made online, social media, that he did it.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
There's so much. And if there was any evidence that Patrick Clancy, the husband, was involved here, the defense would have led with those issues. That would have been part of the argument. Again, it's a lot of armchair lawyers out there that read this, and it's fascinating, right? But again, the prosecution, the defense in this case, would have used that incredibly, to an incredible level had there been any evidence of that. So,
if Clancy is found not guilty, does that mean she can walk?
Massachusetts is very unique. She technically has a path to a complete acquittal. Unlikely, because of the mental illness issue, because of
the postpartum psychosis.
And bipolar. So very unlikely that, if she's found not criminally responsible because of mental illness, more likely what's going to happen is that the prosecutors are going to file a petition to seek her commitment, right? And then she's going to go through the commitment process, and it's a period of time. And she could be released after a year. She could be released after decades.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
It's still the recovery. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what do you think the outcome will be then?
Wow. So there has been a lot of evidence regarding her mental illness. I think that, I don't know the jury composition, but if there are moms on that jury and they, they're going to maybe sympathize with her, right, in terms of this. And it's, even the prosecutor hasn't denied that she was suffering with acute mental illness here. It's that, there's some evidence that it was deliberate, that it was planned, that it was, so I think that the just plethora of mental illness evidence is going to carry the day here. I think she's going to be found not criminally responsible, but we're going to now see a commitment process. So.
And speaking of the jury, when do you think the jury will get the case, and how long do you think they'll take?
I think we're going to see probably a couple days of deliberation. I think they get it Monday or Tuesday.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Hector, as always, thank you so much.